As more sons and daughters of Zimbabwe in the diaspora continue to lend a hand to those back home in dire need, the community of Emandebele flats in Popoma came under the spotlight, and the elderly from the area received relief thanks to a kind gesture from some of the community's children that are now based in the United States. These are hard times indeed, and whether we shall one day be lucky to look back and reflect on how we made it through, only God knows. Fittingly, on a Friday morning, when 17 families from the Emandebele community stretched out their hands to receive, the entire process began with the all-important word of prayer.
Siyalamba mlimo uyakwazi ukuthi indlala silayo kodwa siyabonga ngokukudla ususiphile Jehova othandekayo so kuphelisiwe konke incwadi zakho ziphenywa isileso sethu kubana amagama ethu atholakala encwadini yakho yokuphila ngoyesintana kwasifele siphamaneni kuze bephakathi amen.
Just like the prayer informs, families in most communities are struggling due to the severe economic conditions that prevail alongside the coronavirus pandemic. Hunger is the biggest challenge that most families face, and the intervention of those with a generous spirit makes a difference as the food parcels enable families to pull through and even avoid sickness. On this bright Friday, the generosity of Austin Sibanda and Karen Ngoma Musekiwa, both in the United States, brought about great relief to the elderly who literally have no means of livelihood.
Kuthi kuzasincedisa ngokuthi sizakudla ngoba nxa ungadlanga umkhuhlane uzakugijimela ngobulambile lokhu kudla kuzesifida ukuthi kungasixolela lo mkhuhlane udlule ngaphandle kwethu ngoba siyabe sidlile.
So critical is the hunger situation in communities that children have to do with water where ordinarily porridge should have been a basic. There is nothing for the infants, and sadly that's as much as families can improvise to keep going.
Laba bantwana sebejayele konje bavuka bedlala phandle benatha amanzi ngezikhathi ke sizabaphekela kukhona okungabe kukhona okuncane bedlala hayi ukudleni kunzima sibili.
Across the fence to grandmother Emma is her neighbor Farao Tusi, who will be turning 100 years in 3 years' time. Tusi, who suffers a nagging knee, expressed extreme joy as he received his food parcel. The kind gesture, said the senior citizen, was made even more critical as it came at a time when most basics were now out of reach.
Kunzima sibili asezindlini akulalutho kunzima uma usithi uzama ukuthi uthenge okuyizinto khonoko kukuchaya imali esabekayo umangale la uthi hawu madoda lizeli mbulali kangaka uzobethi yes akula nto esingayenza ngoba izinto ziyadura.
The Emandebele flats are predominantly occupied by pensioners of the National Railways of Zimbabwe. Some of them have since passed on, with their children inheriting the premises. One such instance is that of 27-year-old Nomvelo Maskati, who turned blind way back in 2004, the same year as she lost her father before her mother followed on in 2007. Nomvelo's world crumbled from bad to worse mid last year when her home was gutted down by fire, thereafter leaving her homeless.
Indlu yathi isitsha mina ngamphumile ngeyodwa so kwakusela abantwana bakabhuti sathi siphenduka indlu yayisichile.
The children that had remained in the house were in a miraculous rescue as they had to jump from the upper floor of the double-story flat, with neighbors catching them as they leapt for dear life.
Lwana omunye esesipe wayegeza uthi aphume thina abanye sesiphandle wamehlile uthi uphuma evula umnyango wavinjela intuthu yayisingeni so wazenza kokeqanga ewindini lespe aganya ubaba lo oza ngemoto ubaba uyayibaba mgama bemgama phezulu lo wayesesipe wayeqala ifuthi ngale esipe salaba abase next door wayeqala ngangale futhi ephuma phezulu.
Nomvelo is now homeless and has sought refuge from well-wishers who provide shelter for her and her brother's daughter, 6-year-old Samantha Maskati, who is at Lukhanyiso Primary School. Nomvelo relies on selling sweets for her livelihood and is so grateful for the assistance from Austin and Karen, as times are really hard, especially with the lockdown that has totally crippled her business. Add to that, eyes that get painful when the weather is cold, and her sad story is punctuated.
Ngangela mali yokuthi ngihambise umntwana esikolo lokuthengela umntwana ukuthi ngithola imali yerent khathesi ukuthi ngisuke lapha engcine khona ngiqalisa ukudinga indawo yokuhlala. Imali yangikhona yabe ngayenelisi, so yibo bunzima enisuka ngihlangane labo. Amehlo ababuhlungu, so ukuthi ngibe sengisiya esibhedlela ngisiyabona amadokotela imali engiyabe ngilayo yabe ngakwenelisi konke khona lokho.
Fortunately, Nomvelo's case touched the ears of Austin and Karen, and they intervened with assistance of, indeed, a monumental significance. In addition to the food parcels that Nomvelo benefited from, they have also taken up responsibility to pay fees for Samantha, whilst at the same time paying rent wherever Nomvelo finds a stable accommodation.
The community is in real dire straits, and we've also been approached by a lady by the name Nomvelo Masikati, who is blind, and she has a 6-year-old daughter. Unfortunately, her house got burnt and she has nowhere to stay, and she's in urgent need of a place to stay. We appeal to you, to the public, to help us and make sure that she can find accommodation. At the moment, we have found a temporary place for her to stay, but that's not enough.
The food parcel distributions at Emandebele flats were unique, with local resident Velaphi Ndlovu spending a hectic morning delivering the consignments door to door to the 17 families. It was felt appropriate that the hampers be handed over to the homes of the elderly in light of the COVID-19 regulations, whilst at the same time taking into account that some of them now find it difficult to walk. Those whose legs can still carry them attended a brief prayer meeting before returning home for their presence. Velaphi said the exercise was ongoing and appealed to other like-hearted well-wishers to assist as people were suffering.
Abalalutho abantu. So since we lockdown, angikwazi ukuthi sizabayenza njani. But please, let's we give, plow back to community what we have. Thina silakho manje asenzeni. But abantu bayadubeka phandle la. Lapha kunzima phandle.
That most communities are literally starving goes without saying. It is critical that assistance, particularly from those that have a little extra, be sought, and the difference that it makes is far-reaching. Even worse is the fact that as they grow old, they become vulnerable to disease, but sadly, medication is just too expensive.
Kunzima sibili kakhulu. Ukuthi lasemalini lapha kuyashoda. Kuyashoda, mina nginatha amaphilisi eBP. Manje mangihamba ngisithi ngiyathenga edorobheni ambizi 1080 ayadura sibili kakhulu.
If we shall one day be judged by the way we treat those of our society that are now old, Austin Sibanda and Karen Ngoma Msekiwa will surely pass with flying colors. Here are individuals who think beyond their own immediate families and parents, make it their responsibility to ensure that those without, those sleeping on empty stomachs, can enjoy the benefit of those with compassion.
Tike ngawube ncitshana ngawunika ihlobo zakhe. Kodwa ngothando la ngoJesu. Ubuye wazasinika siyabonga.
Ukuze ecabanga abanye abazali bakhe abaseceleni abangisiba abamzeleyo wabona ukuthi anzalwanga ngumuntu oyedwa nzela ngabazali abaningi. Wasikhumbula sonke njengomntana esikhule simkhangele khona. Wasikhumbula namuntu ukuthi abazali bamengcenye bayafa ngendlala wothi impazana zabe lokhu nithumezela abangizeleyo bodwa laba abanye ke.
Our parents nonetheless are a marvel. We shall always be proud of them and their industrious ethic. Despite the difficulties, they never despair. The spirit to work and raise even a penny for their children is never wavering, but it is only circumstances that deflate their morale. The works of Austin Sibanda and Karen Ngoma Msekiwa make a huge difference. Maybe Rachel Sibanda couldn't have put it any better than her expression of their situation so dire.
Kodwa kathesi nje la ngo12 sesingafika pheka isishwana ngithi udli into esayicina kudala ukuthi vele emini kanjani kuyadliwa ngibona babili bathatha vele kakho opheka emini kathesi lapha abadala sidla ntamba makuphela ngithi ukuthi silale ukuthi ngobehla
As the effort to alleviate circumstances continues, Austin has launched a GoFundMe initiative to meet a monthly target which is meant to pay for Samantha's fees together with their rent and monthly needs. Furthermore, there is a dream to cater for even a bigger number of the elderly at a regular frequency, and if successful, Austin Sibanda and Karen Ngoma Msekiwa will look back with pride at a job well done for community Mandebele. Surely God will provide. For Television Sport Media in Popoma Bulawayo, I'm Tandazani Zimbra.